Hello and welcome everybody to Flicker Effect, episode 315. We're recording this on Sunday, November 17th, 2019. I'm David Lotz. Joining me for this one is Bobby Jackson.
Hey, what's up?
And Michelle Hillard.
Hello, everyone. Hey there.
Hey, guys. We've got Disney Plus to talk about. Ford vs. Ferrari hit theaters this weekend. Lots of things to discuss. I don't know if anybody saw anything else, but I've been living in a Disney Plus world for...
Dude, I'm loving me some Disney Plus. It's awesome. I haven't even really binged into it. I've just done a little bit of stuff to it. Been yeah. Been showing David's kids some classics. I'm like, oh, you guys will love this. Watch this.
Even stuff today. You threw on Swiss Family Robinson, which I know of mainly because of the treehouse at the Magic Kingdom, which is now like a Tarzan treehouse, isn't it?
Well, the one at Disneyland switched from the Swiss Family to Tarzan. I don't know if they did it over here too.
I guess I can't remember.
I know they did it at Disneyland, and I think here it's still just the Swiss Family.
Oh, that's cool then.
No, I actually love going to the treehouse.
Maybe I guess
here.
I automatically think Tarzan because maybe I was working at Disneyland when that happened because I very much remember that, like walking through it and it being Tarzan. And then watching that movie today, which I'd never seen before, I was like, oh man, now I'm kind of bummed that it ever got switched to Tarzan.
See, and you know what's funny is if ours hasn't changed here, I really need to take you through it because the one here, it feels like the movie set. Like it's really cool to watch. Like the bedrooms. Did you watch the scenes with the bedrooms when he showed her the house once it was all done?
Yeah. Yeah,
it's pretty cool because they have the full kitchen here and the bedrooms, that little living room where they do the dance at Christmas time and stuff. Mm-hmm. It's pretty sweet. It's
kind of cool. I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
But
they like the last 10 minutes of it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, they kind of were in and out. I think at one point they were playing outside and they came back.
If there were animals on, they were into it. Right. And then the action with the pirates at the end, I think is, they kind of paid more attention. Then they're like, wait, what's happening right now? And I'm like, pirates are attacking. Like, things have happened, guys. There's a whole plot line here it's moving towards.
All right. So before we get into other stuff, I don't know, why is it in the past few hours, the Twitterverse is gone, release the Snyder Cut crazy.
Did something happen?
I don't. So what? Let's try to backtrack a little bit. So I don't have these tweets in front of me. Wasn't there a tweet not long ago, like a few days ago from Zack Snyder of the Ben Affleck Batman? It was something along the lines of, "This is my Batman." Am I saying that right?
I think I know what you're talking about, yeah.
Do you remember that, Bobby? Did you see that one?
I saw a Zack Snyder tweet, but I don't remember what it said, but I knew it had something to do with the Snyder Cut. And yeah, I do vaguely remember it being about Ben Affleck. So the wording of it is probably exactly what you're saying because it all fits together as to what I was remembering about the tweet. But yeah, I think that was probably the start of it.
I was trying to bring it up, but now I'm wondering if it's gone because I don't see it. So I don't know where I saw that because his feed, he doesn't have a lot of tweets. Like I'm scrolling along and I'm quickly back in February. Like, oh wow, it's not like he goes Twitter crazy.
Well, and even then he took off basically this year.
Yeah, but yeah, I felt like I saw a screenshot of that tweet somewhere during the week and somebody else retweeted it or something. Now I don't know if he did and he removed his tweet or what. But then, this afternoon, Gal Gadot puts out a tweet of her own with just a hashtag release the Snyder Cut, and it looks like kind of like a behind the scenes image of her on set that he probably took. Mm-hmm. And then Ben Affleck does the same thing, no picture, just release the Snyder Cut. Mm-hmm. And Zack Snyder retweets that. He also retweeted the one of her. His quote for her was, "This ancient Amazonian can't be wrong. Hashtag release the Snyder Cut." And I don't know. It was funny. Like I was just scrolling through Twitter not long before we jumped on
out of nowhere
on Mike, and I'm like, what is happening? Like why is this a thing right now? Like I don't know. I'm just confused. I guess because I also just don't care. Like,
Well, it came out of nowhere. Like, it's random.
yeah. I think I saw a tweet from David Ayer too earlier.
Oh, yeah?
Kind of like acknowledging it.
It's random.
Only thing I can think of is that maybe there's some support swelling to where they know something we don't, and there's going to be some sort of release that will happen. And my thought would be it would come out on the HBO Max at some point, when that premieres.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, yeah, there's certain things that I follow in my Twitter or in my newsfeed, I should say, for my RSS reader. And it seems like every day from that site, they're quoting somebody about the Snyder Cut or something about it. And it almost makes me want to or not mute it, but just take it out of my newsfeed, just because it's like, just let it go. Like, it's been so long. And what will it change now, even if it does come out? I mean, what will it do? It either vindicates you, but nothing will come of it because they seem to have changed directions, or it will be not good, and then what will you complain about at that point? So it's so tiring, and to keep going through this, and either way, in either direction. So it's like, on one hand, I wish they would just release it so everyone can be quiet. But then if they release it and it's good, then it's like all those people will be like, I knew it, and it won't ever end. So then it's kind of like, it's exhausting.
Yeah, it won't ever end because, well, like what you just said, let's say it gets released and it was actually good. Well, it'll still be a battle of I almost feel like no matter what, a bunch of people will just go, see, this is great, even if it's not good. And then you'll have a bunch of people going, but this sucked. And it just, I don't know. I don't care.
It's not going to make anybody happy in the end.
And you're right. It's been too long. I mean, other than maybe, you get to see a better cut of that one movie. It's not like it's going to push any movement toward us getting more films in that universe. It's basically all said and done, other than Wonder Woman and Aquaman. The universe is they're not getting together as a Justice League, and really we're just going to get solo films for those two characters, and then it's going to stop, and maybe eventually there'll be a reboot of the Disney or DC EU. But yeah, and I guess I'm also just confused because I'm surprised, I guess, that Zack Snyder has gotten involved in that. Is there truly a Snyder cut? Like, considering the timeline of when he had to leave production and Joss Whedon took over and finished the film. And then I remember when the Zack Snyder cut stuff started, I think that was the first reaction of like everyone going, is there really though a Snyder cut? Like, how far along was Zack Snyder in his editing and even shooting of the film for them to actually be a Snyder cut? And then if they wanted to release one for like HBO Max, is he going to have to go in and basically finish what he started in post-production? I'd be confused by that.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. So to my understanding, the actual quote unquote Snyder cut is a movie that's completed, but I don't know that it's finished in the terms of like there's still special effects that are not there. There's for some sequences there's just storyboards as opposed to actual footage that's been shot.
Right.
So it's not a cohesive movie. It's not an actual movie that you could sit there and see. All you could say is, oh, that would have been cool to see if it was actually filmed, shot, and edited, and the VFX put into it. But that's not. You might as well just be reading a comic, because then you could still say, oh, this would be cool to see in live action. But if you're not actually seeing it in live action, then how is it? You can't say, oh, this would have been cool, because we're still not getting. How do you watch a movie and still wonder how cool something can be if you're actually watching the movie, if that makes sense? It's like it needs to be a finished thing so that you can actually judge it on those merits. But if it's not finished, then you're just creating your own narrative about it. So I don't know. It's just such a weird thing.
It is a weird thing, but I had to bring it up because it just seems to all be happening kind of right now as we're
so
recording.
Out of the blue.
Now scrolling at least through my Twitter feed, every other tweet is talking about the fact that Zack Snyder and some of the cast have been tweeting about it. And now everyone's discussing it again. And
yeah,
I'm like, oh God. I did see one. I hate that I don't have it in front of me right now. There's a writer that I follow for the Hollywood Reporter who, if he tweets about something, it's pretty reliable. And yeah, all he had written tonight about it was that, and it was referencing a Hollywood Reporter article about it. And is that, I guess, at least from their sources, I'm assuming from the studio, there is definitely no announcement imminent at all.
Right.
Like nothing is about to happen. So if everyone's like seeing these tweets and thinking, oh man, am I going to suddenly tomorrow wake up and find out a Snyder Cut is getting released? Like it might happen, but it's probably not going to be announced anytime soon.
Right.
Anyway. So box office. Oh yeah, that's right. All right. So I'm curious. Right before we went to record, Michelle, you were like, because you had forgotten to do your prediction for box office battle.
Super forgot.
Have you looked at my screen? Can you see it?
Can I see your screen? I can see the light from your screen.
So you haven't seen the box office results?
I'm a horrible film person that does this because I honestly never effing look at the box office stuff. I never look at the numbers. I know nothing really until we talk about them, and then I'll look things up or whatever. You'll pull it up. I don't follow anything in any of my social media that would give me information. I'm completely clueless pretty much every week. All I can go on is my own knowledge of the films that are coming out, and then my own personal reviews of them, and or if I see blurbs of other reviews, which I don't really even read other reviews because I think, in my opinion, my review is the most important one to me.
Right.
I'm self-absorbed that way. So no, I don't pay any attention to them. So I jokingly I think I've even said to you one time when I almost forgot to do it, I was like, honestly, I could do it now. And I have no idea. It's fine.
All right. So on air right now, what's your top 5?
If I had to guess, I would definitely say Ford versus Ferrari
is number one.
Okay. And
what's your prediction for the...
That's what I'm working in my head for the money. Based on the type of the film it is, and right now the time of year, I'm going to say 34 million.
Okay.
Second film... So Charlie's Angels came out, but I feel like this is the movie that nobody asked for.
Okay.
So I'm actually going to go with Midway as number 2.
All right.
Charlie's Angels is a close third.
Okay.
What was that movie that came out with the WWF guy that just...
Playing with Fire?
Playing with Fire.
Okay, we're going to start Playing with Fire only because it shocked me last week. So I'm going to say it's 4. Let's get crazy. And now I gotta figure out number 5. What else is in theaters? So crap. Can I look at your predictions? Because I'm
No.
What do you mean
You don't get to look at anything now because you are way late.
Hold on, I'm trying to think. When it came out? Harry, it's been out for a while. Shoot.
So.
I'm trying to think of what even's out right now. What's out that I've not
what have we
mentioned?
seen recently? We've seen Dr. Sleep. We've seen... I'll
go with Dr. Sleep just because at this point I don't really know what else. So we'll say Dr. Sleep's number 5.
Okay.
I'll throw it in there.
See, you did close enough that if I were one that didn't believe you, I'd be like, bullshit, you've seen something.
But I don't see those things. I don't pay any attention to this.
All right, so...
Plus, I also have a thing against Charlie's Angels right now. But that's...
Number 1 at the box office is Ford versus Ferrari.
That doesn't shock me at all.
Which we'll get into. I think we all saw that film. We'll get into it in a little bit. It pulled in 31 million this weekend.
31. Oh, wow. I
think,
overshot
Bobby,
that.
you predicted, what was it, 28?
Yeah.
So that just puts you just outside the bonus.
Price is Right rules. He's super close.
And then I predicted 30.
Yep. Oh, so you got it.
That puts me in there.
You got it.
And then you just predicted 34.
I jumped over.
So you're out. Number 2 is Midway.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying, Michelle. If I were anybody
Charlie's
else, I'd be
Angels.
like,
Charlie's
you're
Angels.
screwing with us, Michelle.
Well, I have a thing against. Again, like I said, I think Charlie's Angels is the film that nobody was asking for.
Number 2 is Midway. Both Bobby and I think, had Charlie's Angels at number 2.
Yep.
Oh, you guys had high hopes for that bad boy. What is Charlie's Angels?
Number 3.
What's the number difference between the two?
That's the thing. It could change. They're extremely close.
Okay. That doesn't surprise me.
8.75 for Midway and 8.6 for Charlie's Angels.
That'll change by tomorrow.
It could. It may not, but it's close enough that it's in the realm of error. That's the phrase I'm looking for. Anyway, number 4 was Playing with Fire.
That movie, what the freakity frat?
So basically, so far, Michelle has predicted all 4.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't pay attention to anything.
I don't.
I'm so terrible at the box office.
No, but I look at my track record, and 2, I don't look at that stuff. I have no freaking clue.
And number 5 is the one you got wrong. Number 5 was Last Christmas.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. But that's been out for a little bit, so I guess that pulled up over Dr. Sleep then. Did you guys have that?
You did, Bobby. Yes. Bobby had Last Christmas at 5. I had Dr. Sleep.
Oh.
So
I got 4. I think this is my best week predictions yet.
I think off the top of my head, it looks like I would get 4 points. Bobby, you'd get 3 points. Michelle, you would, if yours holds.
If
we're taking it, you get 4 points.
Right. Well, yeah. Cool. Whoa, that's like the best week prediction yet.
We're just always going to do your prediction on air.
Super going to do it on the whim.
Nah. Anyway, so that was the box office for this weekend. What were you going to say, Bobby?
No, I was just going to say, it's just been a weird few weeks with the box office with certain movies. I mean, this Playing with Fire, you just would not think that movie would even crack the top 10, let alone top 5 of a week.
Dude.
And for it to do what it's doing, I don't really understand it. I can't really give a good reason as to why it's at where it's at, why it's doing what it's doing. And then you flip that and say a movie like Charlie's Angels. Well, you figure at the very least, that movie should probably be able to, just on good faith, do about 12 million, it just out the gate.
Right.
And it didn't even hit 10 million, double digits. So that's yeah, I don't know. It's just such a weird little time coming around with the movies right now. Ford v Ferrari or Ford versus Ferrari, I think that was about right where it should have been. Mm-hmm. But yeah, everything else was kind of a weird mix of what's going on, what are people interested in right now, how are these movies falling off, and some of them are rising where you just don't expect it. Strange, very strange.
Are there that many people that are like John Cena fans? I
mean, but he's had other movies that's come out and not do well. I
know. I'm just kind of like, I don't. But see, and here's my thing: is one, it just doesn't look like it's an even good kids movie, but
the premise is just
the
weird.
The premise is just silly and ridiculous. It's just one of those movies that it's never going to be a movie that I look at and go, that's my kind of humor. Like, even as a child, I would have been like eye rolling about it. Like, been like, oh God, it's one of those.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I remember the very first time, I remember being younger and seeing trailers for Home Alone. And I remember being kind of like not sure about even Home Alone as a kid. But then I saw Home Alone. I loved it because Home Alone's Home Alone, because I think it's that kind of humor done really well. But for the most part, I see kind of this kind of comedy, and I just gotta go, nah, not my thing.
Yep, I'm with you. Yeah, so that was our box office. So yeah, number 1, Ford versus Ferrari. We all saw the film.
Woohoo!
What did everybody think? Who wants to jump in first?
I'll jump in first.
Okay.
Why not? Bobby's not talking up. I'll do it. Ford versus Ferrari. I'm just gonna come out of the gate. Oh yeah. I'm just gonna come out of the gate and say that was a damn fine little film. I am extremely happy for that film, and I enjoyed the hell out of it, actually. Surprisingly so. Not that I had negative thoughts on it at any point in time. I think I just kind of thought, oh, it'll be kind of a middle of the road thing, and I dare say that might be somewhere in my top 10. Might be high up in my top 10, but I hell have enjoyed that film. The relationship between Christian Bale's character, Miles, what is it?
Ken Miles.
Oh yeah, Ken Miles.
Yep.
And Shelby.
Carol Shelby. The relationship that they have between the two of them it's really, I think it's pretty honest as to men that are kind of working towards a similar goal with different personality traits, but they love what they do. Like, just watching them kind of work together off each other, it worked really well. I love that. And just the way the story was told, it made it interesting. It made a story that I think a lot of people look at and go, that seems kind of like a boring premise. Really fascinating to watch and to see the whole thing completely unfold from start to finish. I thought was really awesome. I thought the humor was really good in it. I thought the writing was good. There's a few moments that are a little bit corny and sappy that kind of are like, but overall, I think, no, that movie ended and I just sat there and I went, that was a damn fine little film. I am very happy with it. That's about where I'm at with that one. I wouldn't call it little.
No, it's kind of a long one.
I'm just joking.
It's kind of a long film, but I'm insanely impressed with it. That one kind of surprised me, for me personally.
What do you think, Bobby?
So I think the thought on this movie from a long time ago, when it was just getting maybe early buzz as to be into some of the festivals, it just seemed like this was a movie that a lot of people were looking forward to. And I don't know if there had been a few select people who had seen it, but there was decent enough buzz even before it was going into the festivals. And then coming out of festivals, it seemed to really pick up. And all along, to me, just on paper, it just sounded like something that would be interesting to see, because you've got two very good actors in this movie, and the concept or the story behind the movie seemed compelling enough to where you figure you're going to get something pretty good. And what I ended up feeling like coming out of this movie is that it feels like something that I wrote these other movies down that I was looking at the list, and it's like the list I had was Moneyball, Saving Private Ryan, The Fugitive, Gladiator, Slumdog Millionaire, and whether you like it or not, Green Book. They're all in the Oscar-nominated movie categories, and some of those were winners. And they have that commonality of being crowd pleasers. And that's what the movie felt like. It just felt like a crowd-pleasing movie. It worked on all these different levels. It gives you different types of emotions. There's funny parts. There's sad parts. There's drama. There's like suspense. I mean, it gives you everything, a little bit of everything. And I think obviously the acting was really good in it as well, and the camaraderie and friendship and contention that you feel between Shelby and Miles is there, and it really helps propel the movie, along with the car scenes. Even if you're not a car person, a race person, it still has a way of doing it in a way that makes it interesting, and you get caught up in it. So it just worked on all levels, and I think that I could see this movie doing some pretty good things at the end of or in the beginning of next year once we get to the Oscar season.
I guess I'll mostly echo what you guys had to say. I enjoyed the movie. I liked it. I wasn't kind of blown away by it. There's a couple things about it that I didn't really care for. And there's one, I will say too, I wasn't familiar with his backstory. I didn't really know anything about it. So even though you can kind of play hey, it's a real story, so there's no real spoilers here. To me, this was a movie I knew nothing about. Like, so right. I didn't know how this was going to end. Mm-hmm. We watched CBS Sunday Morning. I I think last Sunday, and they did a segment on this film, and I kind of hate them for ruining the end of the film for me.
Oh no, you watched the segment and
the funny thing
I probably
was,
wouldn't have even watched
and
it.
I'm
honestly.
not going to say any spoilers because to me they're spoilers. But it was funny. They did one of these like, we're going to dance around it because we're not going to spoil it for you, but they blatantly fucking spoiled it.
Wow.
Like they I'm going to try to say it without spoiling it myself, but it was like, you know, we're not going to tell you this happens. But then they gave this quote, which if you have any brains, you're like, well, I know what that means. And like the end of the movie's coming up and I'm like, well, here it goes. Like,
oh no.
I was so annoyed by that.
That's
Cause yeah, I didn't know that about the very end of this film. So anyway, that kind of pissed me off. But that's nothing wrong with the movie, obviously. But there was a couple things. Like for one, there's a character in here played by Josh Lucas, which I found just to be to the point of ridiculousness. Like
it was over. I would agree. Very over
just
the
very
top.
one-dimensional. It's just like that kind of bugged me. And kind of in reference to that, there's a scene in this movie where it's a very powerful scene. And basically, you know, the head of Ford, Henry Ford, is saying like one thing. And then a couple scenes down the road, boom, now that's changed. And it's just so like a throwaway thing now. Like you get this very powerful scene in a movie where he's just like, I'm going to do this thing. And I hate that I'm dancing around spoilers here, but I am, you know. And then like 2 scenes later, it's like, oh, well, this isn't happening now. And it almost feels like it just negates this scene, this powerful scene we got in the film. And I'm just like, I get that this is based on real life. And if indeed it's following the real true story pretty much to a T, I think that's great. But then to create a scene in one way that's like this big, okay, like we're getting somewhere. And then to just 2 scenes later go, yeah, screw all that. Like that kind of stuff, like I don't think it's very good storytelling, and it kind of bugged me.
No, I had that same thought too. And the only thing that I can give it any kind of like I'll say excuse for is the simple fact that when you start talking about corporations, even if it's a person, a head of this large, amazing, huge corporation, they change their minds on a dime. They can literally flip a switch and it goes a total different way. And so it's the only thing I can give credit to. But I think as far as storytelling goes, I know what's in your reference. Like it is a very large, like, yes, this is a statement, emotional moment. This is the turning of the tide. We were winning the whatever this part, you know, or winning this fight, the good fight. And then it's like, oh, nope, here comes the rug. Whoop. Like, but we just had this really like powerful, impactful like thing. Like, okay, all right, I guess we're moving on. I know what you're talking about. I'm with you.
And it's really just
that bugged me too.
And then it's just really just kind of skated over too, and it changes. To me, it's more like, no, like this isn't not okay. Like, I don't know. It just kind of annoyed me. But I think my biggest problem was the Josh Lucas character. I get it. He ends up he's kind of the villain of this film, but yeah, it was a little one-dimensional and I didn't really care for that. Overall, I think the movie is very good. Christian Bale is fantastic in this movie. I mean, he's just an incredible actor. And Matt Damon's great too. And it is a crowd pleaser. And yeah, it's a little long, but I was enjoying every minute of it. For the most part. I mean, yeah, I like the movie. I don't think it'll make my top 10. It might. I doubt it. But that's kind of where I am with it.
I think, like, I was pretty impressed with Matt Damon's performance. I think it's one of the better performances he's had in his past few films. For me, personally, I feel like I was like, wow, okay, we're kind of getting back to basics again, I think, for him. And I really like that. And I thought he did really well. And there's a scene in particular where he gets choked up and I'm just like, oh my God, he's killing me. Like, oh, Matt, stop. You're making me all verklempt over here. I can't do this. But no, Christian Bale is awesome. And the kid that plays Christian Bale's son is really good too.
Yeah.
Have to look it up. But no, he's quite good. I am pleasantly pleased with this film. I didn't know a lot of this story. Like I kind of know how the race ended, and I knew about the issues that happened with Ferrari and Ford with Lee Iacocca. I've read that story before, so that was not news for me. But I knew that occurred. I didn't realize that. And again, this is all just based on a true story, so who knows how much is true. I didn't realize that was the turning point that kind of flipped Ford to really push for a race car situation. But it does make sense. Like, I'm like, yeah, I get it. He got screwed.
Right.
The best vengeance is vengeance. Best, throw things back in somebody's face. So I get it. Yeah, no, I'm pleasantly surprised by this film. It is a crowd pleaser, and I acknowledge that it's a crowd pleaser, but I'm okay with it. I laughed my ass off in a few scenes. There's one scene in particular. I just laughed and laughed and laughed. I was dying. I had tears actually forming a little bit in the corners of my eyes. I was laughing so hard. But no, I'm happy with it. I'm glad that you guys enjoyed it too.
Yeah, I'm probably about where you are with it.
Yeah,
I would say.
Yeah, I guess I'm a little less, I think.
You're a little less. I think the Josh Lucas thing kind of rubbed you. And I super agree with you. I think, unfortunately, Josh Lucas's shtick in acting seems to be those one-dimensional characters. He doesn't...
Yeah, and I mean, I don't fault him in this situation. I just think the way this character was written...
Yeah,
I don't know. So yeah, I guess nobody saw Charlie's Angels, right? And
no.
And did you see anything else new, Bobby?
No, I was going to maybe try and see Charlie's Angels just because there seemed to be a little swell of good buzz all of a sudden.
Yeah, I saw the same thing.
Yeah, it was at first there was nothing about it really that seemed in any sort of way that would make me want to go see it. But then there was other people that I sometimes check out their reviews of, and they were seeming to be on the upswing about it. And I was like, oh, well, maybe I will go watch this. But I just didn't get a chance to that, and I was possibly going to watch The Good Liar, but just didn't happen. So
yeah.
I forgot about that movie. I was curious about that one. I don't know if I'm going to see it in theaters, but I was curious about that one. Looks interesting.
Yeah.
I did watch some TV.
What did you watch on TV, Michelle?
I know I watched TV. I watch streaming service TV, so I'll be clear. So I watched the first 3 episodes of Apple TV's Dickinson. It's a I don't want to say it's a true biography, but it's definitely a modern times version of the biography of Emily Dickinson's youth.
Uh-huh.
Or I should say early adulthood years. She doesn't live very long. And yeah, so it's interesting to watch because it's all set in her era, which was somewhere in the 1800s. It's very a woman's place is not in education. A woman's place is in the kitchen, being a subservient good wife. And that's about it. And so she doesn't like that role. She loves being educated. She wants more education. Anyways, so this is what you're kind of getting. Everybody's in the dress. The scenes are all set this way. The verbiage, though, it is not old American English. It is modern day American English. Not so much with the slang, but there's definitely some phrasings of things that I'm like, they would not have phrased that way at this time. Like that's how we would phrase something now. And there's some sayings that we say that I'm like, that never existed at that time. And then there's completely modern music that chimes in here and there. And it's interesting. And so if you're not into that kind of a thing, the show's not, it's going to be hard for you. And I even kind of was like, I don't know how I feel about it, but it's done in a pretty well way. And the thing I like is like each episode is not necessarily a title, but maybe like the main phrase out of her most popular poems. And it kind of centralizes around an idea or a theme of that phrase. And so, yeah, I'm interested. I'm enjoying it. And I'll probably keep watching some more. It's got, what's her name? Haley Steinfeld is in it. And I'm really liking her in this a lot. This is a young actress that I think she's going places, and I've liked everything I've seen her in. And yeah, she is spellbinding. Like she's really awesome on the screen. So I recommend this show, but I also want to give if you're not down for looking at something that's set in a different time era, but it has music and themings that are modern, that's just my warning.
What caught me, I have not watched this, but I walked in the door and you were like in the middle of an episode, I think.
Yeah.
And so I saw like the end of a scene going into another scene, and even the transition, and it even had like music going from a scene to another scene, and I immediately was like, this feels like a single camera comedy on a network. It was weird. It really threw me off. I'm trying to think of a good example. Just like, yeah, just it was the music that got thrown in going from the end of this one scene into another, and it was not what I was expecting. And I was like, whoa, this feels like Seinfeld, but not a sitcom. Like like I felt like Modern Family or something. But it was weird. It was not the kind of vibe I was expecting, even though, we had brought up this show before, and Bobby, you mentioned how you had heard that it was like one of these shows that did like they were using, modern music and kind of modern dialogue. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we've all known that this was kind of the situation, but still I was thrown off. I was like, whoa, this is not the kind of show I thought this was going to be. Like you're saying they're like 30-minute episodes, which also I didn't expect.
They're pretty short, quick episodes. I mean, there's no commercials, but it's 30 solid minutes. I will say in the first few minutes of that first episode, you very quickly will determine if you're into this or you're not into it. It really throws you into it pretty quick and fast and hard. Like, God, within the first 3 minutes, honestly. Like, it's very like, boom, in your face. This is what's happening. But I'm enjoying it, and I want to keep watching some more of it. So. And
then we're caught up with the morning show still. There was a new episode this past Friday, and I think that's 5 episodes in now, and I'm still liking that show.
I'm loving it.
Yeah, I really enjoy it.
I'm really loving it. There's a scene this week's episode that it was just like, this is so uncomfortable, and I love every second of it.
Still love Billy Crudup in this show, man. He's so...
Dude!
He's really good.
Yes, Billy Crudup he's killing it in this character. I love it. It's delicious.
But we're behind on other things. We're already, right now, we're a complete season behind on The Crown. The Crown is out there now.
Well, because it dropped today. Yeah. It just dropped, yeah.
So we got that to watch.
Binge The Crown.
But we've got Disney Plus, which we haven't even touched on. And The Mandalorian. We're 2 episodes in.
Yeah.
So side note, before we get into it, over on Spoiler Effect, we are going to do a discussion on each episode. And so far, Bobby and I have done that for the first 2 episodes. So if you're curious, if you are also watching that show and you'd like to, get into a spoiler dialogue about it, we are talking about it over on Spoiler Effect. And we'll try to drop those as quickly as we can right after each episode drops on Friday. With that said, without talking about spoilers, what did we all think so far of The Mandalorian? And I really haven't heard from you yet on this, Michelle. What do you think of the show?
Oh,
again, no spoilers.
No spoilers. I'm really loving The Mandalorian. I will say I was mixed for the first half of the first episode. I was like, I don't know. Am I loving it, or am I just loving this idea of this? Like, am I just that excited for this, and this is all just my excitement thinking I love it, or do I really like it? And by the end of that first episode, I was like, nope, I really like it. And then I wanted to watch it a second time with you later that day. And I was like, nope, yep, definitely like it. And then the second episode dropped the other day, and I was just like, oh my God, this is so good. It's just so good. It feels like you're watching like a weird futuristic Western that takes place in space. I don't know. And the way it's kind of landscaped right now, at least in these 2 episodes, is like that. And I'm sure that's going to change drastically here soon. But I'm even liking the pacing of it, honestly. It's kind of not a slow burn, but it just kind of like you just kind of are absorbing each situation in its entirety before it goes to the next situation. And I really like that. And it just reminds me of old school Star Wars, honestly. It just has this feel like, I don't know, like the creatures, and some are CGI, but there's creature shop stuff done. And I love that. That makes me happy. And I get all excited. I'm like, this is legit. Like, it just feels... This feels like Star Wars to me in a lot of really great ways, and I'm very happy, and I'm looking forward to next Friday's episode.
Bobby, your thoughts on Mandalorian so far?
Yeah, the first I guess main shocking thing to me was the episode length, because here I was going into it expecting full hour episodes, and then the first episode comes through and it's like 39 minutes or 40 minutes, and it's just kind of like, oh, okay. Wasn't expecting that. But the episode, it was solid. It had some bumps along the way for me in terms of some of the tone with particularly one alien in the beginning of the episode.
Right.
And then, so I wasn't for sure what kind of show we were getting, and it kind of settles into itself, and it started to really feel like a fleshed out world in which you really get the feeling that you're back in that Star Wars universe around that era of New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. And so it really started to connect with me, as Michelle was saying, maybe part way through the first episode. And then, of course, the second episode follows right along. And then that one was only like 28 minutes or something, 30 minutes. And that was kind of surprising, too, just because of the length. And I heard that the third episode is around the same as the second episode. So I guess I've sort of resigned myself to the fact that they're not like full length 1 hour episodes. But that aside, the second episode, I really dug that one just because of some of the things that were happening within that episode. It still all feels kind of like if you chunked it all together, it would make a movie. If you made some edits, without making a lot of edits, it just feels like it'd be a really super long movie. But broken up this way, it just feels like it's dissected into chunks almost. Kind of like, I don't know how the best way to describe it, but do you remember a long time ago when we got the Star Wars, like the Clone Wars cartoon, but it was by... Tarkovsky, or I forget his name, but they were like really short bits of Clone War episodes that were...
Oh, yeah.
It was like each segment was really detailed about something that if it was been put into a movie, it would have covered 5 whole minutes of the movie, maybe.
Right.
But it was really richly detailed in that episode.
Yeah. So that's what it kind of feels like. It feels like they're little pieces, and if you strung them all together, it'd make a really long movie. But I mean, I'm enjoying it. That being said, it's still great. It just feels to me like, and me and David talk about this on the podcast as well on spoiler effect, is that it's enjoyable having the conversation week to week, because it's good because everyone's a part of it, and it leads you from that next week to going into it. But it feels like the way it's broken up, I would ultimately, as an experience to just watch it, would love to just binge it, because it feels like it would all fit together better for me that way. But having it week to week, it just adds to the fun and the conversation of it, though. But yeah, definitely on board, loving it, looking forward to next Friday.
And then, yeah, for me, it's the same as you guys. Bobby, I know you and and it sounds like, Michelle, you're on the same page maybe on that first episode. I thought the first episode was a good, solid start. I wasn't blown away by it. But it was a good, solid start to a show that I was like, okay, I'm looking forward to continue watching this. But I didn't have my socks knocked off. It was just, okay, cool. But then the second episode, yeah, was solid. That was a damn good episode. And yeah, the show link thing, same thing. I'm like, man, that second episode, 32 minutes. I'm like, really? This is it? And I stand by my theory really quick, which is we don't know runtimes for these next episodes. Nothing I think has been released, not that I've seen. And if indeed we get to this next episode and it's closer to an hour, I'm really thinking that maybe back when this show was in pre-production or writing phase, that these 2 episodes were actually 1 episode.
Like a longer 1 episode.
It was like
and then they
a
chopped
little
it.
over an hour,
Yeah.
1 episode. And then obviously before they really got into production, they had already decided, actually, let's end this first episode right here. This is a great moment to end it on, and then let's split it up. Because indeed, there's 2 different directors for these 2 episodes, so it's not like it was something that was cut in post. But
Right.
that's the impression. That's at least my theory right now.
I agree with you on that.
But I could be wrong. Who knows? We'll see. Maybe every episode's going to be 30 minutes, which will be a real bummer. But if it's still a good show, I guess it doesn't matter. But
Right.
it's just not what I think any of us were expecting. And it's like, oh man, come on, I want more of this, especially this
Yeah.
last episode. I mean, with that said, this last episode was short, but it was the perfect length. It didn't need any more or any less. Like,
Right.
I don't know. You know what I'm saying, I guess. But overall, I think the show's great. I can't wait till next week. Yeah. I could see wanting to binge it, but I'm super happy that it's being delivered the way it is week to week.
No, it's nice.
It's nice. And yeah, it's coming out every Friday from here on out, except for the week of Rise of Skywalker. I believe that week it's releasing on Wednesday.
Okay.
So that it doesn't release on the same
So
day.
people can go see the movie without any drama.
Right. It won't release on the same day as the film.
Right. I get that.
Yeah.
I'm sure there'll be plenty of comparisons because it will have just ended and we'll have the Rise of Skywalker that weekend.
Well, I
So-
think it'll have one more episode, I think, after that.
Oh, one more? Okay.
Yeah. If I remember correctly, I think the finale will be the Friday after Rise of Skywalker.
Gotcha.
I was thinking it was before. Okay. Okay.
Leave us on a little cliffhanger before we go see the new film.
What were you going to say, Michelle?
No, I guess I there was only one other little thing I saw on TV that I'm still not sure about, but
What do you mean?
so I started watching. Kat Dennings has a show that she's working with ABC's called Dollface.
Yeah.
They put it down on Hulu, and they dropped the whole season. And I watched the first 4 episodes, 3
Okay.
episodes, 4 episodes. And it's interesting. It's definitely like Kat Dennings' humor and her writing style and her personality. 'Cause, you know, she kind of is a little blunt, but kind of is her humor and her approach to things. And that's kind of what you're getting. And the premise of the story is, you know, basically this woman who has been in a relationship with a person for 5 years just gets dumped. But it was a major time frame in her life that she should have also been making bonds with like other women and career movements and doing like that kind of stuff that's happening nowadays. But she didn't do that. And so now she's like, I don't know what to do with myself. And she's trying to like navigate these waters that she's kind of missed in the last 5 years because she sunk everything she had into this one person. And so she feels really displaced. And it's interesting. And they kind of do it in this really weird way. There's a part of the show, there's a segment of it that's kind of like, so this is your problem for this episode and how are you going to solve it, kind of. But they do it in a very like dream-like, in her head funny way, like kind of breaks down the scenario in her head in this weird comedic way, and then she kind of goes, okay, so I guess this is what I'm dealing with this week, and it goes more into more reality-based situations. It's interesting, and I'm liking it, I think. The humor's really good, and some of the stuff that happens, I'm like, yeah, I guess maybe I'm just a little too old for some things, the way that the approach is, but there's other stuff that I think is like spot on. I think it's geared a little bit more toward millennial-ish, I guess. It's the best way to put that. And I hate to be like that, but it's a little more millennial-y. And I'm kind of on this weird cusp thing. Anyways, so...
Yeah, you're saying you're on the cusp of generations.
Yeah.
That's what you're referring to.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so like, anyways, no, I'm enjoying it. Like, I'll give a small example. There's a segment where it's like a Sunday, and the ex comes over because I guess they have like, you know, the NFL package, and he's like, all the guys are coming over, so you need to get out of the house that they're still trying to figure out what to do with. And so she's like, what do I do on a Sunday? And so like the two people she's talking to, like, oh, let's go to brunch. And then it kind of breaks into this segment of like hot chicks getting ready to look hot at Sunday brunch. And they make the restaurant they go to look like a big cathedral church. And it's like, Sunday brunch, this is what you do when you're a girl this age. You go out with your girlfriends, you get all gussied up, and you go have mimosas and Bloody Marys. And she's just like, what the frickety frack is happening? And so she's like thrown into this brunch that like, she's like, I don't understand what's happening right now. Like, this is completely a foreign thing to me. So it's kind of interesting to watch that. So that's kind of the best example I can give you for the story. Anyways, cool. It's interesting. It's very Kat Dennings. Like, all I can say is it's extremely Kat Dennings. If you know anything about her personality and the way her humor is, like if you watch Two Broke Girls, like that's, you're not as harsh as maybe her character in Two Broke Girls was, but that's what you're getting basically. Yeah.
Is it like something where you could see it on regular TV, or is it more R-rated? Like, how is the content?
So ABC is the production behind it, and I could see it passing on ABC, but there might be a few things they'd have to reconstruct a little bit. Like,
okay,
they definitely don't shy away from just being open and talking about like things that the modern woman deals with, like just sleeping around or possibly having an STD and an abortion, like the morning after pill, like things that are very normal, but not so much Friday night 8:30 approved on ABC, you know, but okay. ABC did produce it, but they did it for Hulu. I don't know. So yes and no, because they don't just come out and just say things like really in your face about stuff, but it's definitely,
but there's no
like
swearing or anything like that.
A little bit, not like a lot of it.
Okay.
Maybe they're using different words, kind of maybe like The Good Place uses words.
Okay.
Okay. Like, if that gives you an idea, kind of.
Yeah.
Anyways,
okay.
So yeah, it's interesting. I'm not hating on it. I like it. I'm gonna keep watching it because I'm definitely like I like where this is going.
Right. Cool. That's on Hulu.
That is on Hulu.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Bobby.
No, I was just gonna say, man, like with the show, the morning show, and this one on Hulu, and a couple other ones. Like I guess neither of you still have watched C yet, but
and I'm probably at this point not even gonna bother. I was never really that interested. I was gonna check it out when the service first dropped because I was like, okay, well, I'm curious. Maybe it's actually decent. I don't think I've seen particularly great reaction to it. So
yeah, no.
And no one's really talking about it. It's not like it's a show that's kind of garnering a lot of buzz. So considering how much other stuff, like I want to still watch his Dark Materials, and you know, after tonight, I could end up being 2 episodes behind on Watchmen, which kind of don't intend on letting happen, and then The Crown, which I can't wait to watch.
I'm so excited for The Crown. I kind of just want to like binge like 3 or 4 episodes tomorrow night. Like I really just want to like sit and be like, The Crown is happening. Have some tea, have some snacks, and be like, this is what's happening.
And then the problem with all this too is that like I just, you know, purchased Jedi Fallen Order, and I'm dying to play more of this game, which I mean, relatively speaking, I've barely touched at this point, and just because of the busy weekend, I have played a little bit, but I'm like, I'm bad about going through games from beginning to end, campaign games like this, for the most part, and I really intend on playing this game through. But to be able to watch all this content and still like, oh nope, I want to go back to the computer and play a little for an hour or something, it's tough, like fitting it in. But I want to play that as well. It's like it's too much.
Yeah, and I mean, when Michelle was talking about the Crown and sitting back and binging, and you know, I couldn't help but to wish that instead of being The Crown, you put Breaking Bad in that spot, and then
Yeah.
here it is,
Yeah.
And there's
mid-November.
And that's the thing too. I'm still trying to catch up with the West Wing podcast since I'm going to
Yeah.
that show. It's like I'm still been kind of those have been throwing in when it's like, all right. I mean, I'm watching them. I'm definitely paying attention, but I'm not like because I have seen a lot of these once. So I'm like, all right. I'm like getting ready for bed. I'll throw an episode
Not
on.
necessarily like background, but you're giving it about anywhere from 80 to 95% of your attention.
Yeah. No, that is to a point. It's not like when I'm like going to sit down and watch The Crown and be like, nope, I am
Nope. Yeah. Phone's off.
sitting the phone
We're
down and watching this,
yeah.
or when I've been watching all these other shows. Anyway,
The Crown's just so good.
but yeah, we'll say so far with Jedi Fallen Order, yeah, I haven't played much yet, but I'm liking what I've played so far. I was unsure at first when the game first started. I'm like, am I gonna like this? I'm unsure about this, but then fairly quickly with the story that it's telling, I'm enjoying the story mode stuff I'm seeing. A lot actually. I was more impressed than I expected to be. I don't know what reaction has been to the game overall out there. I don't know what reviews have been like, as you know, from people who've probably played a lot farther ahead than I have. Because again, I'm barely in it, but I want to keep playing. I'm excited.
Nice.
And you've dabbled with it so far this weekend, Bobby, or not? Or have you played a
Yeah,
lot?
I played a decent amount. I wouldn't say. I mean, who knows how far I am into the game, but I played enough to get a sense of what the game is offering, and I would say I like it. I think it's cool, but preferably I liked the oh man, I just couldn't remember. I can't remember the name of the games all of a sudden, but the ones that took place not that long ago, or I mean, they were a while ago that those games were, but where it was like a clone of a character.
Yeah.
And who was that? That was in there. Sam Witwer was the main voice and look of the actor, and it was like he was going against Darth Vader in it and stuff.
Right.
I forget the name of that game, but that to me was like a solid, game series. And this feels more like well, so there's enough, like, I guess to me, there's not enough lightsaber fighting and stuff in it as much as I'd like, and there's more puzzles and problem solving, I think, more than I would care for. It's not bad, but it's just it was different than I guess what I was expecting, especially when you compare it to the other game that I'm blanking on right now. But yeah, it's not quite super action oriented as much as I was hoping, but it's still pretty good, and it's visually, and like you mentioned, the story is pretty good. And so far I'm kind of curious at least to see where the whole story's going with it, because it is an interesting story. I just looked it up, and it's The Force Unleashed. That Star Wars series is a lot of fun. But those two games. But I am enjoying this. It's just different than I think I was going into it with the expectations of.
And then maybe that's why I like it a little more, because the lack of action is actually okay with me. Like,
okay.
I kind of enjoy some good problem solving, and yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't mind the somewhat lack of action, but I'm so barely into the game.
Right.
There could be a lot more coming up that I'm not even haven't seen yet.
Right.
Yeah, I'm liking that. And I still have to dabble more into Disney Plus. I mean, like, I know this weekend, especially with the kids, it's been okay. Well, look at all this stuff to choose from now for the kids to watch and for us to watch. And, they didn't even announce ahead of time that they were dropping a 4K version of all the Star Wars films. Not that I have a 4K TV yet, but
and it'll be awesome when you do.
Yeah, no, that's pretty sweet.
I'm holding off on the Christmas movies. I'm trying to not have those pop in until Thanksgiving. Like, I do really want to see Noelle, the one they made specifically for Disney Plus.
With Anna Kendrick. I'm curious about it.
I really want to see that one. I think that one looks really good. I'm trying to hold my ground until Thanksgiving for the Christmas stuff as a whole. Like, not just film, but Christmas as a whole. I always am very like, until Thanksgiving Day,
waiting.
Like, hold off.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Because I've been curious about that too. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't think I want to watch it yet.
Yeah. And they've got a lot of their old Christmas stuff on there too. Like, there's a lot of Christmas content on there, which is awesome. I'm super excited. Like, it'll be great. I'm just not ready this week.
What were you about to ask, Bobby?
No, not an ask, more of a statement. I just was looking it up. Breaking Bad, season 1, 7 episodes, and obviously take out commercials. There's 40 minutes. You can do at least the first season before.
Oh, I'll get the first season done before.
All right.
There's just so many other things on right now.
Well, this is the game that we play, Michelle.
Yeah, what are you watching, Michelle? I forget. What did we decide with that?
She said she was going to watch Schitt's Creek.
Yeah, maybe Schitt's Creek.
That's right.
There's so many new things.
Well, it's new to you.
This is true.
It is new to me, but there's a lot out there. Like, another show, and I thought of this would be Veep. I always wanted to watch Veep. Never got around to it. Mm-hmm. And it's definitely there in my list. I don't know if I'm ever going to get to it, but it's there. Like, it's just kind of how it goes sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's just a matter of like what really is calling to you, because I don't think David, as he mentioned that he's behind on Watchmen and a few other things, and I know you really want to see those things, but I'd be willing to go out on a ledge and bet that you're probably not behind on Silicon Valley, right?
No, actually, I am an episode behind.
Too. Yeah.
Okay.
There'll be
I was
two
gonna
after
say that
tonight.
seems to be one of those shows that you make sure, like, no matter what, that you always catch every time that
for the
it's
most
on,
part.
so.
But then it also plays into, like I've said before, it's so easy to consume. It's only 30 minutes. It's I don't know. That's why I'm so like, okay, well, I can fit that in 30 minutes right now. I got enough time.
I'm sure by the end of the night, Wednesday night, Watchmen and Silicon Valley will be caught up on it for both of us.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, I mean, you know, it's life. There's jobs to go to, family to take care of, season tickets to sporting events you go to. Like, you know, like, it's hard to
podcast to edit.
There's a lot, and so it's like, even when I think about what I've seen this week, in the last few days, I'm like, man, I've seen a lot for me just with everything else going on. Like, that's a decent amount.
Yeah. I didn't realize you had watched 3 episodes of both of those shows this week. I'm like, okay.
I did some TV watching instead of, you know, like cleaning or running errands or anything like that.
Well, next week we've got Frozen 2 and A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood and 21 Bridges. I already got Frozen 2 tickets, but that's all I have so far.
Yeah, we need to get A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood tickets.
And I still haven't got my Knives Out tickets for the following weekend.
And we need to get those too.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to Frozen 2. Words I didn't think I'd ever say in my life, but I actually am looking forward to seeing that film.
It is funny because I hesitate to use the word resisted, but it's like I almost resisted watching that movie for so long just because.
The first one?
Yeah.
I'm with you.
I didn't see it in theaters.
I didn't either.
And I didn't have anything against it, but I remember just kind of when trailers were out being like, okay, whatever. I just kind of didn't care about it. And then it happened. Like,
it was a thing.
That's all has to be said about Frozen is it landed, and it has been a thing ever since. And then it was like, oh man, like, why does everyone love this so much? Could it possibly be this good? And I really tried to go into it the first time as open-minded as I could, because I knew. I'm like, there's a little bit of me that's almost like, I hate that people love this so much, even though I've never seen it.
Oh, I'm with you.
You know,
Oh,
like,
I'm with you.
and I hate being that
Why?
guy. I hate people like that.
Because it was just such a thing. Like it was
Yeah, but if people love it, like, why do you hate that people?
No,
love
because
a
it's
thing?
different than like if a movie is just highly like praised. Like it's not like, oh, Knives Out comes out and everyone thinks it's great, and I'm like, oh, why does everyone love Knives Out? This is like a kids movie that's getting more of a like, for some reason, when it's being acclaimed by children so much, it's more like, well, is it really that good, or is there just something in the Disney sauce that is just like hypnotizing all these children to think this is better than it is? Like,
well, not to mention the fact that just the merchandising and then just the promotion for that was just effing insane and has been for years.
And just let it go, just over and over.
And that was on the radio. It was on the effing radio. And that song is not really a radio song. And it was on the radio all the time.
Right. So, I mean, and I think the first time I saw it, I was kind of like, yeah, it's fine. And actually, the more I've watched it, I think the more I appreciate it. I don't think it's Disney's best, but
I don't either.
But you know, it is a solid animated film from them. It's good. There's aspects about like the story and her powers that are like, I feel like there's some more explanation here that I'm missing. Like, but
which is what I think we're actually getting in this second film.
And yeah, maybe, I don't know.
It sounds, from what I've seen and the little I've paid a lot of attention to it, it seems like we're going to get more information on Elsa's powers and the realms in which that she came to have them and how or why, or it sounds like that's what's happening in this one.
So it's more like, to me, it's a solid film. The reaction to it's treated like it is the best animated movie Disney has ever created.
It was way over,
and that's just
touted.
not. I'm sorry, it's not the case. But
I thought it was way over touted. Like it just was given way too much. Like, this is amazing. I'm like, it's good. It is a good story. Like, and I think personally, like, the Anna stuff is the best stuff on there. Honestly, like,
it is. Yes.
The Kristen Bell stuff is really quite good. And I enjoyed that film, and I'm with you. I think the more I've seen it, the more I've enjoyed Frozen. But I think because of that, I'm actually really genuinely excited to see Frozen 2, because I'm like, I know that the first one built for me. So now I'm kind of like,
what'll be funny is that I don't pay attention to reviews, but so far the reaction I have seen for Frozen 2 from people who have seen it has been that it's good, but it's not as good as the first film. And you and I will probably be like, no, this is the film. This is great.
Watch this. We're going to be like, son of a bitch. This was
Frozen
amazing.
2, everybody.
Frozen 2. Like, because it's going to be more not as kiddie focused. Maybe it'll be more adult. And we're going to be like, the storyline is on point. Like, this is amazing. Yeah.
Or not. Who knows?
Or not.
Sorry, Bobby. I'm not a Frozen hater. Frozen's
no,
fine.
It's not that. It's just, I think what happens is when things get to that much of a fever pitch, it's because everyone's watching it and in on the conversation, and it just bubbles. And when you're on the outside looking in, you can't help but to wonder, like, what's all the fuss about? And so obviously if you see it after that, there becomes a certain sort of a feeling you kind of have that you're seeing it after the whole sort of wave of it. It's kind of like with Avatar or Titanic, and it's just these movies, they come and then they just like knock it out of the park in terms of how the marketing is, how the word of mouth is, the enjoyment level coming out of it is. But it's all in that moment. It's all within the thing. And then after a period of time and that stuff dies down, and then you just watch the movie on its own, there's a level of like, yeah, it's a good movie or it's a solid movie, but in that moment it's elevated because of that. So if you're not part of it in that time and don't see it within that time, I can see how just looking at it, you're just like, it doesn't make sense on any level as to why people are frothing at the mouth for this thing. But it just becomes sort of a hive mentality in a way, where when something comes out and people kind of are at least in the consensus that it's good, at the very least good, and on a higher level, really sort of something of a classic in a way, then it just has it takes on a life of its own. And I think that when you're not in it, people are trying to pull you into it, because they want you to have that same sort of like euphoria feeling of joy that everyone else is feeling for this particular hot thing at the moment.
I think what I'm looking forward to. So your daughter, who's currently 4, David.
Yes.
She did go through a Frozen phase. There was definitely a Frozen phase, and she still enjoys it. I don't think as high as she used to.
She's been more of a Tangled girl.
She has wanted to being more of a Tangled girl. There was a time though, Frozen was.
Oh no, there's
Frozen
no doubt.
was happening.
Frozen kind of hit first for her, and then I think when she really got into Tangled, that took over more.
Yeah, Tangled took it. But
anyway.
I would say she seems pretty genuinely excited to see Frozen 2, and I'm curious to see how she's going to react to it. Like, I wonder if she's gonna be like, yeah, it was good, or if she's gonna be like, that was amazing. Like, I'm looking forward to seeing where she's gonna swing,
considering she's still at that age where it's like taking her to movies is hit or miss.
Yeah,
you know, it's like it really has to get her attention, otherwise she's gonna squirm. And you know, I have a good feeling she'll be pretty good during this, but you know, that'll be the deciding factor, is if I'm watching her during the movie and she's like moving around a lot and looking up at the projector, I'm going to be like, oh, it's movie not working for her.
It's not working for her. I mean, she's 4, but I will say, like, when she likes something, she will sit and she will watch the thing.
Right.
But when she's not interested, she does not care.
She has taken to live action stuff way before my son did.
Oh, yes, I agree.
My son, who's now 7,
still,
he watches some live action stuff now. But yeah, you're right. Still, that has to be just right for him to enjoy it. But at her age, like, he was just animated only.
Yeah.
I would try to get him to watch live action stuff, and he just seemed to show no interest. And she has probably watched the original, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, or Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Sorry, like
the original.
Yeah, the original with
Gene Wilder.
With Gene Wilder, like twice now. Like, and
she's watched it, I think, 3 times now, and she really likes it. And she'll like sing the Oompa Loompa songs. She's all for it.
It's
like,
funny.
Man, really? Charlie got you, huh? All right.
But going back to the, like, I think you're right, Bobby, everything you said about if you're not in the moment, if you're not a part of the conversation when it's a thing, seeing it after the fact, it's hard. I agree with everything you said. And that's why, like, for you, Michelle, like, it came up, I think, today. We were in Disney Plus, and you're like, oh, yeah, there's that movie I still haven't seen. And it was Avatar.
Yeah, I joke. Yeah.
And that is just, not to say you shouldn't see it. I think you should see Avatar, especially before the sequels come out. And
I will,
inevitably see those films. You should see Avatar, but it is a doomed to fail for you.
Oh, it's totally screwed.
And that's nothing against you. It's just to anybody who had never seen Avatar before. And I think it's unfortunate, because I believe Avatar is a solid film. And especially the 3D presentation was top notch. Mm-hmm. And if that's the unfortunate thing for those people like you who didn't see it in the theater and didn't get to experience it in 3D like that. I mean, yeah, I guess you could watch it on a 3D television with a 3D, player, but it's not going to be the same. And
oh no, the original Avatar film is completely screwed. Like, there's just no way I'm going to come out loving this film. One, because when it did come out, when it first came out, and everybody was so excited, I was like, really? Because it looks stupid to me. And then because everybody loved it so much, it made me almost hate it more. I was like, fuck this film. It's so stupid. I'm never seeing it. Like, because everybody was like, this film's amazing. I'm seeing it for the 8th time. And I'm like, why? Like, there's so many other films out right now. Like, really? Is it that good? The best part is talking to people later down the road, and they're like, actually, it really was. I'm like, okay, cool, thanks. Glad cleared up that that's not the best film you've ever seen in your entire life. Like, let's get back on a reality basis. But no, one, I've had zero interest to ever watch it. Two, I think it looks stupid. And three, because the hype for it went so insanely over the top, and it has its own section of a Disney World theme park. Like, no, this film is super screwed for me. I'm never going to like this film. Ever.
Okay, yeah, you should just not watch it. Don't even see the sequels.
Like
Exactly.
in
No,
the
you're
best
actually
situation.
your hatred for it is now beyond what I expected. So
Right,
don't even bother.
Like I could see this thing basically in my own movie theater, and I'm still gonna be like, nah. I have a bad feeling.
No,
It's just never-
No, I
go-
would imagine.
I'll go see the sequels by myself. It's fine.
Yeah, I was gonna say I can imagine her watching it, and every minute she's gonna be commenting about how stupid this
Totally
thing
am.
is, and
Yeah.
Super,
I
yeah.
hate watching it.
bad.
I
pretty
mean,
much.
not to say there weren't people like that with Avatar, and I mean, you're saying you came across people like that. I for one, I don't think I've ever seen a reaction that Avatar was like the greatest thing ever, and that they saw it multiple times. Hear me out here. It was more, yes, it made a lot of money because everyone was seeing it.
Everybody and their brother was seeing it.
experience. And
Right.
from me, and from what I recall of everyone's reaction, was like, this is a good movie and the 3D is good. And everyone needed to see it to see what this was like. 3D was pretty new at that point. Like, at that point,
This type of
yes,
3D.
this
The
type of 3D.
yeah, this technology of
Oh, I mean,
3D.
3D's been around forever. I know
Yeah,
that.
yeah, but no, we know what you're saying. This technology of 3D, yes.
The kind of renaissance of 3D, that
Mm-hmm.
that was basically the beginning, and it was a thing.
No, it totally was.
And I think for the most part, it was more just like the story you just told, Bobby. It was a situation where everyone was seeing this movie. It wasn't necessarily that everyone thought it was the greatest thing since sliced bread. It was just that everyone was seeing it and it was like, it's solid. And even when it was out, everyone was like, yeah, this is a story that's been told a million times and a million different versions. This is not new. Like, we all knew that. But
I always jokingly say it's the live action Ferngully.
everyone says that.
Yeah, a lot of people
I
say
mean,
that.
a lot of people say that.
But that's the thing, you know, people say that, and yet for me, I've never seen Ferngully. So for me, it's Avatar. So and there's lots of people out there that are probably like me, where they haven't seen the different versions that take place that are basically telling that same story. So seeing it from this vantage point, it becomes something different. But I can understand and respect why people would be like, well, it's just this story told over in this way. And I'm like, yeah, but there's plenty of examples of that. But that doesn't negate the fact of whether or not something can still be told well.
And there's no doubt James Cameron is a talented storyteller.
Oh, he is,
And-
for sure. No, there's no doubt.
He was able to take a story that has been told many different ways for years and years and years and will continue to be told from years to years and years to come.
Yeah.
He did it in a fresh new way that was entertaining. And no, it wasn't the greatest film ever, but it had the top spot up there for a reason for a while. And
Oh, yeah, no, totally.
so,
Side note,
but
Bobby.
don't go ever go see it.
Side note, Bobby, you should watch Ferngully strictly just for Tim Curry's performance. The rest of it, you're not going to care for. But I would say literally just to listen to Tim Curry's performance in that film.
Huh. I didn't even know he was in that.
Yeah, I've never seen Ferngully either.
Oh, okay.
It
Who made that?
Yeah, that was
Ooh,
like...
it wasn't Disney. It was
Right.
the ones who did Land Before Time.
I thought Disney did.
No, Disney didn't.
Disney
get that.
Disney purchased the rights to Land Before Time later on down
okay.
the road in the last, I would say 15 years. But anyways, no, I mean, Ferngully is going to be one of those films. I enjoyed it because it came out when I was probably the prime age for that film, for the main people doing it. But I would recommend for an adult, if they've never seen Ferngully, to watch Ferngully and just kind of take it with a grain of salt, because it's aged at this point. And two, it's a kid's film. But I will say Tim Curry's performance as the bad guy in this it's really good. For an animated film, it's like, wow, that's dang, Tim Curry. You already like him. You already love the guy. But
Right.
yeah, it was very son of a gun. That's pretty awesome. I've watched this as an adult and been like, Jesus, this is really good performance.
Yeah, it was distributed by 20th Century Fox.
Yeah, there it is.
The production
okay.
companies were animation studios you've probably never heard of. But
Right. Yeah. Anyways,
So
So
I just saw that 2 years ago on this date, a little movie called Justice League was released.
Oh, this is an anniversary.
now we know why the whole Snyder. Oh, hey.
Well, at least
One
the
and one equal
timing is starting to
two.
make sense. Still, the whole thing,
Right.
like once Zack Snyder himself started to get involved like this, is where I'm like, wait a second. Like, for the most part, he seems like he's kind of stepped away from it and not really been a part of that conversation. So it's his involvement in it now, and the cast's
No,
involvement.
it's a
that I'm
little
like,
surprising.
Oh, okay, this is a thing now. Like,
But for that to really like uprise like today, this week, now that makes sense.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
By the way, and sorry, just really quickly,
Yeah.
Michelle was talking about Tim Curry, and it's interesting because I haven't seen him in anything in a while, and I don't know like if he's still acting or not. But I think the last thing I remember seeing him in was probably he like guested on a show or something. I can't remember what it was.
Well, he guested on that live version of Rocky Horror, didn't he? Like, was he on that?
Was he?
I don't know. Like a really side minor part or something. I never saw it, but
All I know is his health has been deteriorating
Has
really
it?
badly.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's way bad right now. Like, he's
yeah.
confined to a wheelchair. He still goes to a few cons a year. He'll make a few appearances, but he's definitely not acting. His health is not great. One of the last things I actually saw him in was, I think it was Criminal Minds. And he played a mass murderer. It was over like 3 episodes. So it's kind of a big story arc for them. But I remember that was a few years ago. So, but yeah, no, his health has been in decline in the last 5, if not 10 years.
That's sad. I hate
It
to hear
is.
that.
Such a
And
good
it's
actor.
interesting. Yeah, very good. And as we were talking about him, I don't know, you guys probably won't necessarily agree, but to me, a modern day Tim Curry is John Barrowman. He kind of seems like he can do like all those kinds of things in the same way that Tim Curry would be able to do.
Yeah,
And
play
he
a good
just
guy,
comes
play a
off
bad guy, play a guy that's kind of complex and good or bad.
charismatic
Yeah.
and just like, I don't know, he just has that sort of vibe to me too.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm with you there too.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, with that, it is time to wrap things up. As always, we would love to hear back from everyone listening. You can email us at feedback@flickereffect.com with your questions and comments. We are on Instagram and Twitter at @Flicker_effect, on YouTube as well at youtube.com/FlickerEffect. I'm David Lott.
I'm Bobby Jackson.
And I'm Michelle Hillard.
Thanks for listening.